On the screen with me is a document. The heading is, should I get an audit if I'm redesigning my website? So this scenario has come up multiple times for me where I'm on a call with a prospective client, and the client wants to proceed with an audit, despite the fact that they know that they are going to create a new website and upload a new website in a few months, or they are completely redesigning the website, etc. And the client usually is for going ahead with the audit. And the rationale, what I've heard is, we can use the audit for the past website and apply the recommendations, or we want to go ahead and start making the changes now. And I recommend against that. And part of the reason, I just thought of this as I didn't even have this in the outline, but part of the reason is because the audit is going to take some time to complete as it is. So by the time you get the audit, depending on when the new website will be uploaded, you may only have a few months to make the changes, and then it's probably going to take your team at least a few weeks to wholesale make these changes and apply them to the website. So at that point, you're maybe at a month and a half, a month of having this website that's in theory free of accessibility issues. So that's one reason. And then the other is, you want to be thorough. So the next bullet point on this outline is, in almost all circumstances, my answer is no, you should wait on the audit. And there may be an exception. I have never talked to someone where I felt like there was an exception that warranted moving forward with the audit. But maybe if the changes are limited to a specific section of the website or something like that, but then that wouldn't even be a complete redesign. But you get my point. There's very few circumstances. There are very few circumstances where I would say, yes, go ahead with the audit, even though you're changing the website. And the reason is because the audit will lose its freshness, its accuracy, its precision. And even if the client thinks that they can go ahead and they can use the audit for the past website and apply the recommendations, it's like, okay, well, we found out that we didn't have alternative text here, and we now know that we need to apply the alternative text to our meaningful images. We can apply that concept. That may work out for a few accessibility issues, but there are too many moving parts, and there are too many unforeseen unforeseen circumstances that can arise, and there are too many ways that this idea can go awry. And another part of this is, plaintiffs' law firms seek out accessibility issues. So even if you are able to do a really good job with making changes and applying those to the website based on the past audit, and you referencing the past website, you still don't want to have any outstanding accessibility issues left over. And if you are working from a past audit after you've had a redesign, that is a recipe for there to be accessibility issues outstanding. And even when you're working straight from an audit and you have a static website, there can still be accessibility issues that remain outstanding. That's why many people opt for to re-audit their website. But you really should stick with an audit on the website that will be in place. Now, it's understandable that there will be edits and uploads. That happens. That happens to a website. But you want to freeze. You want the website to remain static while the audit is being performed, and then remediate those issues, and then you can resume activity on the website. But once you do, ideally your team is trained on accessibility, so they are not introducing new errors on this foundation that has been remediated to be accessible, ideally. So if you get this audit and you move forward despite knowing you're going to redesign, you will likely need a second audit. And that's just an additional expense not only in terms of cost, but also your team's time and energy. Then you have to sort this out, then you have to organize it. And accessibility projects can already become unorganized fairly quickly because there is delegation, there is completion, and it's not always known when things are actually completed. You know, things can be completed on a single URL or a set of URLs, but not across the website. And then it's a matter of who's in, you know, who's responsible for this. Is it the content manager? Is it the marketer? Is it the developer? Is it the designer? And so all of these things can become unraveled, and especially when you have a changing website versus an audit that was performed on an older website. So for all of these reasons and probably some more that I forgot, the best idea is to wait until the redesign is complete. Now, in the interim, I recommend investing in accessibility training and working on updating those issues as best you can, updating the issues that are most likely to lead to litigation. And if you do that, then you are lowering your risk of litigation while also making the website that you currently have more accessible. So that I think is the best option, because at least if you start training on accessibility and learning accessibility more generally, so for example, you could learn different um, success criterion or success criteria under the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines and learn the issues that are most commonly claimed in litigation. If you learn those, then you can apply that knowledge on this next remediation phase. You may still go ahead with the audit to have a comprehensive breakdown of all of the accessibility issues within the scope of the audit. But this way, if you're learning about accessibility, then your team can have a head start. They'll know what they're doing, and then also they can identify the issues that they need to prioritize to lower litigation risk. And that leads directly to my ADA compliance course. I have had clients that opted for this option, and it's the one I recommend because it's going to lower your cost. You're going to invest in accessibility. You're going to be able to take action so your website doesn't just remain with accessibility issues outstanding, but then you can carry forward that knowledge into the next remediation phase. So that's really important because you're still getting value, you're still lowering your risk of litigation, and then you can also take forward that knowledge, integrate it into your processes, and then work on the redesign. So hopefully the redesign will incorporate the accessibility considerations, but even if it doesn't, you can still take that knowledge and apply it to the new website, and then have the audit on top of that. So the audit would be able to work on top of it, where you had all of the issues and you knew all of the issues. In theory, if you get a good audit, you will know all of the issues that reside on the different screens and URLs within the scope of your website for the audit, and that will be very, very helpful. But again, I wouldn't proceed with an audit. There are too many things that can go wrong. Yes, is it possible that in some universe that you could get an audit and it would work out and then you wouldn't have to purchase a second one? Yes, there's some way that you can make it work, but you are really going against the odds. So I highly recommend waiting on an audit, and in the interim, as a temporary fix, I recommend purchasing my ADA compliance course. You will know how to prioritize the issues so to lower your risk as you are working on the accessibility of your website. And then you can apply that knowledge going forward onto the new website. Moreover, your web team will know how to address accessibility for the most commonly claimed issues in litigation. So that's really, really important that you're prioritizing the issues, because we want to make our website fully WCAG conformant, right? We want to be conformant with all of the success criteria in the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. This will make our website at an excellent level of accessibility. But what we don't want to do is get sued while we are making our website conformant. So uh, the best process, the best course of action is to focus in on those issues that come up over and over again on in litigation. And so the course is at adacompliance.net, and I will provide more links in the description.